here with another classic Kiss guitar lesson. We're going to do Hotter Than Hell today. So the tuning on this is E flat, but like a lot of those early Kiss albums, the tuning is not exactly to E flat, so you're going to have to do some, fine tuning. I'm going to give you an E so that you can play along with the record or this lesson. That'll make it a little easier. So here we go. One more time. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here's that introduction riff. Okay, so the very first chord we're playing there is just an A5 chord. That's going to be an open A string and the second fret of the D and G. And you're just doing 2 down strums. Okay, now we're going to switch down from here. It kind of looks like a partial, treble side of a G, except we're going to add, so like if we were doing a, just a treble side of a G and not play the bass notes, it'd be like that. But we're going to add here on the second fret of the G string your first finger, and then you're going to have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B and pinky finger on the high E, which is the 3rd fret as well. And you're just going to do the same thing. And it's just a down up strum, or you can do 2 down strums if you want. So, and then we have this transition lick that comes in and out of the song several times. It goes. So what you're going to do there is you're going to hammer on from the D on the D string from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret. You're going to go, and then you're going to grab here on the 2nd fret of the G, then the 5th fret of the G, and then pull off from 5 to 2 to open on the G. Doesn't sound as good played slow. So it's just going to be 1 pick on the D string and 1 pick on the G. Everything else is going to be hammer-ons and pull-offs. And then back to that A chord. So let's play that part slowly again. Now we're going to come down here and go. Now that's going to be D string as well here from the 5th fret to the 7th fret. You're going to go, and there's going to be a hammer on there. So you're going to first hammer on from 5 to 7 and go, and doing a couple picks, 2 picks up and down, and then 1 more hammer on. So one more time. Then we come down here and go. Now, you're going to just bar your first finger across the 7th fret of the D, G, and B string and just flatten that out there. Your first part, you're just going to play just the D and the G and go just 2 down strums. And then you're going to kind of, strum and hammer on at the same time your middle finger here on the 8th fret of the B and then the 9th fret of the D. So it goes. Then come back up. Back to that same riff. Okay, that's all the introduction. And pretty much the verses sound, it's pretty much the same thing repeated on both verses. So if you got all that down, then you know the verses. The verses will kind of play through them and go. Then it goes, stops on the A and then comes what we've already learned. You play that transition lick right after that. Then go straight into this. Now we're doing the pre-chorus. So let's go through that. This is all bar chords, power chords, or also called 5 chords. So we go, so after that, does so 2 down strums twice on the A. That's what we've already learned. Open A, 2nd fret of the D and G. And then go here to the G5, which is going to be 3rd fret of the low E, 5th fret of the A string. And again, 2 times. Then we're going to come here to the D5, which is the 5th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D string, and then do a. It's all down strums there. Then we're going to come up here and grab another A5, which is just up an octave higher. That's going to be 7th fret of the D, 9th fret of the G, and we're going, and then to the E5, which is the 7th fret of the A, 9th fret of the D. So it's, that's the chorus. Okay, so these are just, again, power chords. We are going to play them a little different. We're going to kind of flatten out that ring finger so we can get the A, D, and G string together. So the first one's just going to be here on the 12th fret of the A, 14th fret of the D and G, and you're just doing a. And I should say, when you do this, you want to do a quick strum down and immediately mute all the strings. So you're doing a. Then we're going to go 2 frets down. This will be the 10th fret of the A, 12th fret of the D and G. And then this was 4 times, 4 strums, 4 strums. We're going to come up here to the 5th position and play the 5th fret of the A, 7th fret of the D and G, only 2 strums. Come back here to the G5, and that's going to be again 10th fret of the A, and then 12th fret of the D and G, and then that's 2 strums there, and then we stop right there on the A again where we started, and it repeats again. But to resolve the chorus, we go. Now that's just going to be a D. It's going to be open D string, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, and we're going to leave the high E out. So we're just going to play those 3 strings, just a. Then we're going to grab a G without the major 3rd, so you're just going to kind of let that 3rd finger mute the A. So we're playing G, D, G, and then B. So your middle finger's on the 3rd fret of the low E, and your ring finger's on the 3rd fret of the B. And then back to the A5, which we already learned. And you go. Now the rhythm guitar under that first little guitar solo is the same. So it's just, so if you want to play that. Okay, so that first little mini guitar solo sounds like this. Okay, let's go over that. So all this is going to be based on basically the A minor pentatonic scale, which is going to be that 5-note scale that we all know. The Ace just, I've said in previous lessons, I've never seen anybody use the scale in so many creative ways as he did. And his solos had some similarities to them, but they always sounded unique and different to me anyway. So the very first part you're going to do so that's going to be 12 to 14 on the G, and then you're going to do a big overbend with some vibrato on the 14th fret. So it goes. Then you go. And that's just going to be from 14 to 12. So 14, 12, 14, 12. Then one more time to the 14, and then that little vibrato there on the 12. So and you need to go, and that's going to be a full bend here on the 15th fret of the G string. And then again, kind of that Y vibrato. So the first part's kind of similar to what we just did. They do a, you know, for this stuff, it's going to be on the B string from 15 to 13. So it's going to be 15, 13, 15, 13, back and forth like that. And then back, and then stop. And then you're going to do a hammer-on pull-off from 13 to 15 to 13. And then grab the 14 of the G. So it's, and you go, or you can do a hammer-on there too. So that's going to finish that lick. That's going to be from 13 to 15, and then pull off back to 13, and then a full bend, and then stop. So okay, that's that guitar solo right before the main guitar solo. I'm going to have the solo parts and fills tabbed out on the Patreon channel. There'll be a link in the description of this video if you guys want to. I'm not going to tab out the, I might tab out like the fills and like that transition lick, but I'm probably going to tab out every single thing of the song because a lot of this is, you know, I think you'll be able to follow just from the video. But the guitar solos, I do think it's a good reference thing to have some tab to look at, so I'll put that on there too. So let's go ahead and jump into that big guitar solo. Now, as much as I love old Black Sabbath albums and Kiss albums, one thing I don't like is when they do the two different guitar solos going at the same time. It's so hard to figure out. So what I'm going to do with this part of this solo is we're going to, I'm going to try to show you as much as I can before those two guitar leads start to blend. So on the very tail end of this solo, what we're going to do is just incorporate some very familiar Ace Frehley triplets and licks that I think you guys would benefit from. I always recommend, like in this little part, this would be a great time to try to do a little bit of improv right in there. See what you can come up with. And so let's go ahead. We'll talk about the chord thing that happens before this. I guess will be because this is what's played under the solo. So it sounds like this. So again, all those 5 chords. So this one's going to be a G. So that's 10th fret of the A, 12th fret of the D string. So it's so you're sliding from 10 to 12, just hold that position. And that's going to be 12 on the A, 14 on the D. So you come on down, slide, and then we're going to do this strum. So again, keeping that same shape. Those 5 chords, so it's going to be 8th fret of the A, 10th fret of the D, and we're going to slide from 8 to 7, keeping that same shape, to 5. And then we're going to come back to the 8th, keeping that same shape, and then come back to the G5s. That slide is a little tricky, especially if your hands are a little sweaty. Then repeats it again. What's nice right before we go into the guitar solo, since the guitar solo is going to start at the 5th position, you can just do this. You can slide and then grab that G right here in the 5th position. So, and that's just going to be the 5th fret of the D string and 7th fret of the G string. So So let's talk about that. So we go a pull off from 7 to 5 on the G, and then some vibrato on the 5th fret of the G. So and then we do a 7 on the D to 5th fret on the D. And then we're going to go half bend here on the 7th fret of the G. So after we go on the 4th time, we go, and that's going to be a quick bend up on the 7th fret of the G, and then bring it back down, pull off from 7 to 5, and then end here on the 7th fret of the D. So we have this. Now we're going to slide all the way down. So when you slide all the way down on the D string, you're coming to the 16th fret and you're going to go. So it's going to be 16 of the D, 14 of the G, and 16 of the G string. So now when we get to the 16th fret of the G, we're going to do a microtone, which is not even quite a half step bend. It's just so you're just barely bending that note up. So you can kind of see I'm basically holding that, letting that note sustain so I can bring it back down. Now here we're coming to the 12th and 14th on the G, so we're still on the G string. We go. So all these are overbends. Ace did a lot of those. Bob Kulick did a lot of great overbending solos. I love how that sounds. So cool. So the first one is just going to be 12 to 14. So I'm playing 12, 14, and then picking the 14 again before I bend. Repeat that. And then on the last one we go. So you're really going to rock that wide vibrato. And then we do, and that's just going to be a hammer-on from 12 to 14 back to 12. And that's going to be to 14 on the D. So 14 back to 12 on the G, back to 14 on the G. And we come back to the G here, 14, 13 of the B, and then 15 of the B. So and then we're going to do this on the 15th fret of the B. Now if you want to extend that out a little bit right there, you can. You can because this solo is pretty long and kind of trails off at the end of the song. But what I'm doing is, what Ace is doing, is each time he picks a note, he's kind of stopping the note with the pick. So it's now, you know, as he's doing that, he's just gradually bending that B string up on the 15th fret. And then we do a, so that's just going to be a big bend up on the 15th and then bring it back down, release, so pull off 15 to the 13 on the B. And then you kind of end that little phrase on the 14th fret of the beat of the G string. So okay, now this last part is, and you probably noticed in the trailer, I did it a little bit different again. There's double solos, but they're all Ace licks. So as soon as you start, playing this, you're like, that's totally ace. So that first one's going to be, so I don't know why it is. Sometimes it's harder to play something slower than it's fast. Let's try that again. So after that, we're going to go slide into the 19th fret of the G. So what we'll do there is just basically you're going back and forth here from 19 on the G to 17 on the B. We go. So when you slide into the 19th, you're doing a hammer-on pull-off from 20, so it goes 17 to 20 back to 17. And then you're going to go little bend there on the 19th fret of the G. And you're just going to go ahead and play 19, 17 on the B, and then both of those strings when you come back, so G and B together. And then so let's put all that little part together, see how that sounds like. So we go. And then after you do that about maybe 5 or 6 times, I did this. So another triplet there. And that's just going to be 19 of the G and then a hammer-on pull-off from 17 to 20 on the B. And then from there I went and I just did so back and forth from 19 to 17. And I think I did a little bend there, and then we did this triplet. You're just flatting out your finger here on the 17th fret of the B and high E string, and then you're doing a hit the B and then pull off from 20 to 17 on the high E. Try that again. Something like that. You can, every single time I get to that part, I kind of play it a little different anyway. But I think it's really a good thing, especially if you want to work on your improvisation. Yeah, find a little spot, play those ace licks, and they all fit very well in there. So, and then of course, it's just another tool in your toolbox of licks, and try to make them yours. So after that solo, we go back into that. There it goes again. Then just ends, or actually live version, I think it just ends like that, but it just fades out with the studio. So there's several little guitar fills in this solo as well, in between the rhythm guitars. So when we do the that was one of them there, and that's just that what we already learned in the solo is just from 12 to 14, playing just that. And then another one was just, and that's, again, that was part of that guitar solo, and that's just a pull off from 7 to 5 on the G. Another one that goes, And that's that slide similar to what we did in the middle solo. So you're sliding in from the D string to the 16th fret, and then that's going to be 14 to 16 on the G. And then come here to the 17th fret of the B and go. So you're just, bending up and then coming back to that original note there. So you're bending up a whole step, which is going to be the 19th fret. So, and those are the guitar fills that are kind of weaved in and out of the song.